Captain Eliza Ward stood by the window of the big spaceship USS Defiant. She watched the stars as her ship moved along the edge of human space. Humans had been exploring space for 20 years now. In that time, they had met 3 alien groups. The Zentari aliens had crystal-like outer shells and were friendly. The Voss aliens lived in water and kept to themselves, but the Krevlox aliens, who looked like insects and lived by strict rules, were hard to understand. "Captain," said Lieutenant Noah Campbell from his desk, "we are getting a help signal from New Horizon Colony." Eliza felt worried right away. New Horizon was one of the farthest human settlements. It was home to about 500 people, including 73 children. The colony was built to study strange rocks and to trade with the nearby Zentari aliens. "Put it on screen," she said, fixing her uniform. The screen lit up, showing the face of George Patterson, who ran the colony. His eyes were wide with fear, and he was bleeding above his right eyebrow. "This is Administrator Patterson. We are under attack. Unknown ships, they are taking the children. They have knocked out the adults and they are taking our children." The screen went blank before Eliza could say anything. "Go to New Horizon as fast as possible," she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the fear growing inside her. "Tell everyone to get ready for battle, and get me a direct line to Admiral Holt at Central Command." As the ship's engine started to roar, Lieutenant Olivia Martinez walked up to the captain. "Ma'am, early scans of the attack ships match Krevlock's designs, but with changes we haven't seen before." Captain Ward nodded with a grim face. "The Krevlocks. I should have known. But taking human children?" She shook her head in disbelief. What could they possibly want with them? The ship took 3 days to reach New Horizon. When they arrived, they found the colony in ruins. Buildings were damaged, and people were just starting to wake up from being stunned. Eliza led a team down to the surface. They found George Patterson sitting on a broken wall, a bandage now covering his cut. "Captain Ward," he said, his voice hollow. "They took 34 of our children, just stunned all the adults and took the kids. We couldn't stop them." "Did you see which way they went?" Eliza asked. A woman stepped forward. Her eyes were red from crying. "I'm Susan Freeman. My daughter Lily was taken. I'm also the colony's sensor operator. I managed to track their ships before I was stunned. They headed toward the Draken Nebula." Eliza nodded. "That's Krevlock space. We'll need permission to go in after them." Back on the ship, Eliza sent a message to Earth. The response came quickly. Admiral Holt's face appeared on screen, his expression serious. "Captain Ward, what you're describing is an act of war, but we can't just charge into Krevlock's territory. Ambassador Baker is calling for an emergency meeting at the Galactic Concord. Stand by until we have diplomatic clarity." Eliza wanted to argue but knew better. "Yes, sir, but those children—" "I know," the Admiral said, his voice softening. "I have children too. We'll get them back, one way or another." While they waited, Dr. Victoria Miller, the ship's chief medical officer, examined the stunned colonists. "The stun technology is interesting," she told Eliza. "It's designed to disable adults but cause minimal harm. The Krevlocks were careful not to hurt anyone." "Except for the fact that they stole children," Eliza said bitterly. Victoria nodded. "Yes, but it suggests they want the children unharmed. That gives us hope they're still okay." 3 days later, they received new orders. The Galactic Concord meeting had revealed something shocking. A Krevlock scientist named Nick Zara had come forward to expose a secret plan. A group within the Krevlock's empire was using human children for genetic experiments. "We're to proceed to Neutral Station Alpha," Eliza told her crew. "Ambassador Baker has negotiated an unprecedented joint rescue operation. We'll be working with loyal Krevlock's forces who oppose these kidnappings." Lieutenant Campbell looked confused. "We're working with the Krevlocks? After what they did?" "Not all Krevlocks," Eliza explained. "It seems this was done by a faction led by someone called High Commander Zexkor. The Krevlock's emperor himself has condemned the action." As the Defiant changed course for Neutral Station Alpha, Eliza studied everything they knew about the Krevlocks. They were an ancient species that had practiced selective breeding for thousands of years, choosing specific traits they wanted. But now they faced a genetic crisis. Their careful breeding had led to serious problems. Many couldn't have children anymore, and genetic diseases were spreading. At Neutral Station Alpha, a massive space station built by all four species to serve as neutral ground, Eliza met Ambassador Samuel Baker. With him was Nixara, a small Krevlox with pale outer shell and only one working eye. "Captain Ward," the ambassador greeted her. "This is Nixara, former head of Krevlox Biological Sciences. He risked everything to help us." The elderly Krevlox bowed slightly. "I could not remain silent while my species violated the most basic rights of another. What High Commander Zexcor has done is unforgivable." "Why did they take our children?" Eliza asked directly. "My species is dying," Nixara explained. "Our careful breeding program created a perfect Krevlox by our standards, but we went too far. Now we face extinction within a few generations. Zexcor believes human DNA contains the solution. Your species adapts quickly, survives in various environments, and has remarkable genetic diversity." "So they took children to experiment on them?" Eliza felt sick at the thought. "Yes. Children's cells are more adaptive. Zexcor plans to create human Krevlox hybrids to save our species." The old alien's voice trembled. "I helped develop the theory, but I never imagined he would steal children. When I objected, I was removed from the project." "Ambassador," Baker stepped forward. "We've formed a joint rescue team. Major Alan Reyes and his special forces will lead the human side. Emperor Vexisthal has provided the location of the secret facility and sent his own troops to help." Eliza felt a mix of anger and hope. "How soon can we move?" "The team leaves in 6 hours, the ambassador said. "And Captain, you'll be glad to know the Zintari and Voss have offered support as well. When word got out about children being taken, every species in the Concord united against it. For the first time since receiving the distress call, Eliza allowed herself to feel hopeful. They would bring those children home. And perhaps, just perhaps, this terrible event would lead to something important, a recognition across all species that some lines should never be crossed." Ambassador Samuel Baker had never felt so nervous. He stood in the big meeting room of the Galactic Concord on Neutral Station Alpha. Leaders from 17 space-traveling species sat around the large round table. The air felt tense. The Krevlox. "Empire has broken the oldest rule of space," shouted Zotal, the Zintari representative. His crystal body flashed with angry colors. "No species may take the young of another without permission." The Krevlox representative, district commander. Vexnar sat very still. His bug-like eyes showed no feelings. The Krevlox Empire did not approve this action against the human colony. "We know nothing about it." Samuel stepped forward, trying to keep his hands from shaking. "With respect, Commander Vexinar, we have proof that Krevlox ships attacked New Horizon. Our sensors recorded everything. 34 children were taken from their families. Their parents are heartbroken. We want the children back now." The room erupted in angry shouts. Representatives from all planets spoke at once, most supporting the humans. The Voss diplomat, a female named Silmara, raised her webbed hands for quiet. "If I may speak," she said in her musical voice, "there is a group within the Krevlox Empire that does not follow the Empire's rules. The brood of Kextal has acted against the Empire's wishes before." Vexnar's antennae moved in what Samuel knew was anger. "The Empire does not accept that rebel groups." The doors to the meeting room suddenly opened. Everyone turned to look. A Krevlox unlike any Samuel had seen before entered the room. This one was smaller, with a pale outer shell and only one working eye. He walked slowly with a walking stick. "I am Nixara, former head of biological sciences for the Krevlox Empire," the newcomer announced. "I have come to tell the truth about our greatest shame." The room went completely quiet as the old Krevlox spoke. "The children were taken by order of High Commander Zexcor, with approval from the Imperial Science Council. They believe human adaptability can save our species from dying out. Samuel felt sick. You are experimenting on our children? Nixara turned his single eye toward the human ambassador. Worse. They plan to mix human genetic material with our own to create mixed beings that can save our dying race. The Zintari representative's crystal body turned dark with disgust. You took human children? Have you lost your mind? Vexnar stood up suddenly. This creature does not speak for the Empire. He was removed from his position for mental instability. Was removed, Nixara said calmly, because I objected to stealing children. I helped develop the theory that human DNA might save us, but I never agreed to theft and forced experiments. Silmara, the Voss representative, moved closer to Nixara. Can you tell us where the children are being held? They are on Krevlox 9, a research planet deep in Empire space. The facility is underground, protected by Imperial guards. Commander, Vexnar's body posture showed his shock. Krevlox 9 is a restricted Imperial research facility. If what you say is true. The door opened again. This time, a group of heavily armed Krevlox soldiers entered. Their leader wore the marks of the Imperial Palace Guard. District Commander Vexnar, the leader said. I bring a message from Emperor Vexthal. The Emperor has confirmed the claims of Overseer Nixara. High Commander Zexkor acted without Imperial approval, but with the help of members of the Science Council. The Emperor denounces these actions and offers the Empire's help to return the human children. The meeting room exploded into chaos again. Samuel moved to Nixara's side. Why are you helping us? You're risking everything. The old Krevlox's single eye blinked slowly. My species faces a real problem. Our careful breeding program over thousands of years has led to genetic weakness. Many Krevlox cannot have children anymore. Those who are born often have genetic problems. We are truly dying out. But stealing children is not the answer, Samuel said. I agree. That is why I am here. There must be another way. One based on cooperation, not theft. On the other side of the room, Commander Vexnar spoke with the Imperial messenger. Their antennae moved rapidly in what Samuel recognized as an intense discussion. Finally, Vexnar approached the center of the room. The Krevlox Empire officially apologizes for this criminal act, he announced. Emperor Vexthal has ordered all Imperial forces to assist in returning the human children. He also asks that the humans consider a joint scientific mission afterward to find an ethical solution to our genetic crisis. Samuel looked around the room. The representatives from other planets watched him, waiting for the human response. He thought of the 34 families waiting for their children to come home. He thought of humanity's place in this gathering of species. His answer would shape relations between humans and aliens for generations. The human government accepts the Emperor's apology and offer of help, Samuel said carefully. As for future cooperation, that will depend on the safe return of all children and a full accounting of what was done to them. Justice must come before forgiveness. Nixara moved closer to Samuel. There is something else you should know, Ambassador. The Krevlox on Krevlox 9, they will not give up the children easily. High Commander Zexkor believes he is saving our entire species. He will fight rather than surrender. Then we will be ready, Samuel replied. How soon can you provide us? With detailed maps of the facility? I can do better than maps, the old alien said. I helped design the facility. I know every room, every security measure, every weakness. And I will go with your rescue team. Within hours, a joint task force was formed. Human Special Forces would work alongside loyal Krevlox Imperial Guards. The Zintari offered their fastest ships to transport the team. The Voss provided medical experts who understood both human and Krevlox biology. As Samuel watched the rescue team prepare, he was approached by the Zintari representative, Zotal. This is unprecedented, the crystal being said. 4 species, working together on a military operation. Desperate times call for desperate measures, Samuel replied. Indeed. But consider this, human. If the Krevlox truly face extinction, and if their only hope lies in your species' genetic material, what happens after the rescue? This crisis may be just beginning. Samuel had been thinking the same thing. One problem at a time, Representative Zotal. First we bring our children home, then we decide if and how we help the Krevloks. A wise approach, Zotal agreed. But be prepared. The universe has just become more complicated for your young species. As the rescue ships prepared to leave Neutral Station Alpha, Samuel sent a message to Earth with a full update. The reply came quickly. Rescue the children at all costs. The future of interspecies relations can wait. Samuel watched the ships depart, carrying the hopes of 34 families. The mission was dangerous. The diplomatic situation was complex. But one thing was simple and clear. Taking children was wrong, no matter what crisis a species faced. On that, at least, all spacefaring races seemed to agree. Major Alan Reyes looked through the thick leaves on planet Krevlox 9. Behind him were 20 of the best human soldiers, the 107th Special Operations Division known as the Phantoms. They wore dark suits that helped them blend into the shadows. "Can see the building," whispered Sergeant Kelly Roberts. She adjusted her special glasses. "It matches the map Nixara gave us. The children are probably in the middle building with the thick walls." Alan nodded. After the big meeting at the Galactic Concord, Nixara had switched sides and given them important information about where the children were being kept. The old Krevlok scientist had explained that his species was having trouble having babies, after thousands of years of picking only certain traits to pass on. Now many Krevloks couldn't have children, and those who were born often had health problems. "Remember," Alan told his team through their earpieces, "we are here to get the children out, nothing else. The Concord has allowed this mission, but we cannot attack the Krevloks for revenge. The children are our only goal." "With respect, Major," Corporal Daniel Wright said in an angry voice. "After what they did to those kids, that's an order, Corporal." Alan cut him off. "We are soldiers, not killers. Besides, half the Krevloks Empire is angry about this too. Their full government didn't approve this." The team moved quietly toward the building. They used special devices that confused the Krevloks' bug-like eyes. Alan had studied Krevloks' bodies carefully during the 3 days they traveled to this planet. Krevloks saw movement differently than humans, which made these devices work very well. Within minutes, they had stopped the guards at the edge of the building without killing any of them. Inside, the team moved quickly through clean white hallways, following the maps Nixara had given them. When they reached the middle room, what they found made them all stop and stare. The children were in clear containers that looked like glass tubes. Each tube was connected to blinking machines. Medical specialist Lisa Novak immediately went to the nearest tube. "They're alive," she said after checking. "Them. Their bodies are working fine, but they've all been put to sleep, and these machines..." She frowned at her readings. "The machines are taking small pieces of their cells and studying their DNA." Alan went to a tube holding a small boy no older than 7. "Let's get them out. Let's take them home." As the team worked to safely disconnect the children, a loud alarm suddenly started ringing. A door at the far end of the room opened, and a tall Krevloks in fancy armor walked in with guards. "I am High Commander Zexkor," the Krevloks announced. "You are breaking into Krevloks land and stopping the saving of my species." Alan stepped forward. "You kidnapped children. There is no excuse for that, ever." Zexkor's mouth parts clicked, in what might have been a laugh. "You humans and your feelings for your young, don't you understand? Your species holds the key to saving billions of Krevloks' lives. The needs of the many are more important than the needs of the few." "Not when it comes to children," Alan replied firmly. "Not when it comes to asking permission first. The two groups might have started fighting if not for what happened next." Behind Zexkor, more Krevloks appeared, but these wore different badges. "High Commander Zexkor," announced the leader of the new group. "By order of Emperor Vexthal, you are removed from power and charged with breaking the sacred code of species interaction." Zexkor's guards, seeing they were outnumbered, lowered their weapons. The new officer turned to Alan. "Major Reyes, I am Commander Kixvan of the Imperial Guard. My Emperor sends his deepest apologies for this unapproved action. We will help return the children to human care." For the next few hours, the human medical team worked with the Krevlock's Imperial doctors to safely wake the children from their deep sleep. Some of the younger ones cried when they woke up, but the older children tried to be brave. 8-year-old Lily Freeman was one of the first to wake up. She looked around with wide eyes at the strange room and the bug-like aliens. "Are you good aliens or bad aliens?" she asked Commander Kixvan directly. The Krevlocks seemed surprised by the question. I hope we are good aliens, small human. We are helping take you home." The other ones said they were helping me too, but they put me to sleep and it was scary, Lily said. Alan knelt next to the girl. "These aliens are helping us, Lily. The bad ones have been arrested. We're going to take you all home to your parents." While the medical team worked, Alan took Commander Kixvan aside. "What will happen to High Commander Zexkor and his scientists?" "They will face Imperial justice," the Krevlocks replied. "What they did broke our oldest laws. We do not take the young of other thinking species. It is forbidden. But you still face the same problem, don't you? Your species still has the genetic crisis." The Krevlocks' antennae drooped slightly. "Yes. We still face extinction within a few generations unless a solution is found. But Emperor Vexithal believes there must be another way. Perhaps voluntary cooperation with humans, if your species is willing after this terrible event." By the next morning, all 34 children had been safely moved to the human ship USS Defiant. Captain Ward had arrived with her ship to transport them home. "Major Reyes," she said as they watched the children being settled into the ship's medical area. "You and your team did excellent work." "We had help," Alan admitted. "Without Nixara's information and the Krevlock's Imperial forces, this could have gone very differently." On the bridge of the Defiant, Lieutenant Campbell coordinated with the Krevlock's escort ships that Emperor Vexithal had sent to accompany them to the edge of human space as a sign of apology. As the ship prepared to leave, Krevlock Space Captain Ward received a message from Earth. Admiral Holt's face appeared on the screen. "Excellent work, Captain," he said. "The families are waiting at Arcturus Station. How are the children?" "They're physically fine," Captain Ward reported. "The Krevlocks sedated them but didn't hurt them. Dr. Miller says they'll need counseling for the emotional trauma, but children are resilient." "And what about the Krevlocks? Do we need to prepare for war?" Captain Ward shook her head. "I don't think so, sir. This was the action of a faction, not the entire empire. Emperor Vexthal seems genuinely horrified by what happened. In fact," she hesitated. "What is it, Captain?" "Sir, the Krevlocks really are facing extinction. Their genetic problems are real. They need help. I'm not saying we should forget what happened, but maybe there's a way forward that helps both species." Admiral Holt nodded slowly. "Let's get the children home first. Then we can think about the future of human-Krevlocks relations." As the Defiant jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading for home, Captain Ward looked at the stars streaking past her window. The universe had just become more complicated but also more interesting. Sometimes the worst actions led to the most important changes. Perhaps this crisis would lead to something new, a deeper understanding between different kinds of life in the vast universe. Dr. Victoria Miller gently pulled a blanket over 8-year-old Lily Freeman as the girl slept in the medical room of the USS Defiant. After being rescued from the Krevlocks facility, all 34 children had been moved to the human ship for the journey home. "How are they doing?" Captain Ward asked quietly as she walked into the medical room. Victoria ran a hand through her short blonde hair, looking very tired. "Their bodies are getting better. The Krevlock sleep drug is wearing off with no bad effects. But their minds..." She shook her head. "They were taken from their homes and strange tests were done on them. That kind of fear doesn't go away quickly." Eliza nodded sadly. "I've arranged for special doctors who help with fear and bad memories to meet us at Arcturus Station. The families are already on their way there." In a quieter voice, Victoria added, "The Krevlocks didn't try to hurt them on purpose. According to what they believe is right, as strange as it seems to us. They thought they were doing things in a way that caused the least pain." "That doesn't excuse..." "Of course not," Victoria interrupted. "I'm just trying to understand. We're going to be sharing this galaxy with these aliens for many years to come. We need to understand each other, even when we strongly disagree. On the bridge, Lieutenant Campbell was talking with the Krevlok's escort ships that Emperor Vexthal had sent to go with them to the edge of human space as a way of saying sorry. "Sir," he called to Commander Jason Powell, who was running the bridge while the captain visited the medical room. Message coming in from the lead Krevlok ship. The screen turned on to show Commander Kick's van. "Commander Powell, we are getting close to the meeting point. A group from your central command is waiting." Jason acknowledged the message before turning to find Captain Ward walking onto the bridge. "Captain," he greeted her, "we're almost home." The meeting at Arcturus Station was very emotional. Families ran to hug their children, with many tears. News teams recorded the moment for billions of humans watching across all human colonies. People who talked about politics were already discussing what this meant for human-Krevlok's relations. Ambassador Baker, who had returned from the Galactic Concord, stood beside Admiral Holt as they watched the families reunite. "The Emperor has offered to give us many things to make up for what happened," Samuel told the Admiral. "Technologies, resources, even some space territory. Can we trust them?" the Admiral asked directly. Samuel thought about the question carefully. "I believe we are seeing a big change in Krevlok's politics. The old-fashioned group led by Zexkor has lost power. The more modern group under Emperor Vexithal is gaining control. This crisis showed a deep split in their civilization." "And what about the children? What did the Krevloks learn from them?" Samuel's face darkened. "That's the most worrying part. According to Nixara, they confirmed their idea. Human genetic material contains special parts that could fix the Krevlok's genetic problem. They didn't finish their work, but they have the early information. So they might try again? They might. Or they might ask us openly, requesting scientific help." Samuel looked at the reunited families. "That's the choice we're facing. War or a new kind of peace." 2 days later, Samuel sat in a meeting room with representatives from Earth's government. Dr. Miller had joined by video link to give her medical report. "All children have been returned to their families," she said. "Physical tests show no lasting damage. The Krevloks only took small skin samples and ran tests on their blood. The children were not changed in any way." "That's a relief," said Defense Minister Paul Rivera. "But the psychological damage is real," Victoria agreed. "But children are stronger than we often think. With proper support, most should recover well. Some may have bad dreams or fears for a while, but I've already seen signs of healing." Samuel leaned forward. "The question now is how we respond to the Krevlok's empire as a whole. Emperor Vexithal has arrested everyone involved in the kidnapping. He's offered significant payments to the families. He's even offered to share Krevlok's medical technology." "After what they did, you expect us to be friends?" asked one angry official. "Not friends," Samuel said calmly, "but practical. The Krevloks really are facing extinction. Their genetic problems are real and getting worse. They saw something in human DNA that could save their entire species." "That doesn't give them the right to take our children," said Defense Minister Rivera. "Absolutely not," Samuel agreed. "But what if we offered to help them in a different way? Voluntary genetic samples from adult humans, joint research with proper oversight?" The room went quiet as everyone thought about this idea. "The Emperor has proposed an official joint research program," Samuel continued. "Human and Krevlok scientists working together to find a solution that respects both species' rights and needs." "And if we refuse?" asked a woman from the science department. Samuel sighed. "Then the Krevloks will likely continue to decline genetically. Some may try desperate measures again. We could face more conflict, possibly even war. And the Krevloks would still have the preliminary data they gathered from the children, enough to continue some research on their own." Admiral Holt, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "What's your recommendation, Ambassador?" "I believe we should accept the Emperor's offer with strict conditions," Samuel said. "A joint research program with full human oversight. No experiments without consent, regular reports to the Galactic Concord, and significant technology transfers from the Krevloks to humanity as payment for our help." "You're suggesting we profit from this?" someone asked, sounding shocked. I'm suggesting we turn a potential enemy into a partner, Samuel corrected. The Krevloks have been in space for thousands of years longer than we have. Their medical and engineering knowledge could help billions of humans, and our genetic diversity could save their species. The debate continued for hours. By the end, a tentative agreement had been reached. Earth would offer conditional help to the Krevloks while maintaining strong defenses. The families of the abducted children would receive special support, including lifetime education and health care. Later that evening, Samuel visited the Freeman family in their temporary home on Arcturus Station. Little Lily was drawing pictures, while her parents talked with Samuel. "How is she doing?" Samuel asked quietly. Susan Freeman looked at her daughter with sad eyes. "She has nightmares. She's afraid of the dark now. But sometimes..." She hesitated. "What is it?" Samuel asked. "Sometimes," she asked questions about the Krevloks. Not the ones who took her, but the ones who helped rescue her. She wants to know why they look like bugs, how they eat, if they have schools. She's curious. Samuel was surprised. "That's remarkable." "Children adapt," Susan said. "Maybe better than adults. She told me yesterday that not all aliens are bad, just like not all humans are good." Samuel smiled. "Smart girl." "Ambassador," George Freeman said seriously, "we've heard about this proposed joint research program. Do you really think it can work, after everything that happened?" Samuel looked at Lily, happily drawing at her table. "I honestly don't know, but I believe we have to try. For her future, for all our futures." 1 year after what people now called the Krevloks crisis, Eliza Ward, now Admiral Ward, stood in the bright new science building on Neutral Station Alpha. Beside her stood Dr. Victoria Miller, who had been named Chief Medical Officer of the Joint Research Program. "Did you ever think we would end up here?" Victoria asked, pointing to the laboratory where human scientists worked side by side with Krevloks, Zintari, and Voss researchers. Eliza shook her head. "After what happened at New Horizon, no. I wanted the Krevloks punished and kept away from us, but this..." She watched as a human scientist showed something on a screen to her Krevloks partner. "This is better." The Genetic Diversity Initiative had been formed with full approval from the Galactic Concord. Its job was to help solve the Krevloks genetic problem through ethical, cooperative research. No tests on children, no taking samples without asking. Just open scientific sharing. Ambassador Baker approached them, walking with a familiar figure, Nix Ara, the Krevloks defector whose sense of right and wrong had helped save the abducted children. "Admiral Dr. Samuel greeted them. "Overseer, Nixara has some exciting news." The elderly Krevloks bowed his head respectfully. "Our research team has found the specific genetic parts in human DNA that give the adaptability we need. With this knowledge and using only freely given adult human samples, we've developed a possible treatment for the first stage of Krevloks' genetic problems." "That's amazing progress," Victoria said. "And ethically obtained." "Yes," Nixara agreed. "I must admit, when I first changed sides, I feared my species was doomed. Either to die out from our genetic problem or to be isolated because of our crimes against humanity. I never thought of this third path." In another part of the station, a special education program was happening. Lily Freeman, now 9, sat in a classroom with children from all 4 major species. Under the watchful eye of teacher Karen Russell, they were learning each other's languages, biology, and cultures. This program had been Lily's idea. After months of therapy processing her fear, she had asked her parents a question that surprised them. If the Krevloks didn't understand why taking us was wrong, shouldn't we teach them? That simple question had led to the Interspecies Youth Ambassador Program, designed to build understanding from childhood, the time when all species, despite their differences, were most open to new ideas. On Earth, in the headquarters of Central Command, Admiral Holt reviewed the latest reports from the initiative with General Frank Butler. "The Krevloks have shut down all unauthorized research facilities," General Butler noted, "and Emperor Vexithal has made the changes he promised. Their military chain of command now includes ethical oversight at every level." "And Zexicor?" Admiral Holt asked. Serving his punishment in an Imperial Rehabilitation Center stripped of rank and influence, the extremists who supported him have mostly lost their power. Admiral Holt leaned back in his chair. You know, when this all began, I was sure we were heading for the first interstellar war in human history. Many of us were. The general agreed. The taking of children, if any single action could unite humanity in anger, that would be it. And yet here we are, working together. Admiral Holt shook his head in wonder. Not forgetting, not ignoring what happened, but choosing a better response than revenge. Later that day, as Admiral Ward prepared to return to her ship, she received a message from New Horizon Colony, now rebuilt and expanded, with better security measures. Administrator Patterson appeared on screen, with the colony's new education center visible behind him. Admiral, I wanted you to see this before you left. The camera moved to show a memorial garden, with 34 trees planted in a circle, one for each abducted child. In the center stood a simple plaque with words, in human Krevlok, Zintari, and Voss languages, from the darkest moments come the brightest chances for understanding. May we never forget the cost of ignorance, nor waste the chance for wisdom it bought. As the message ended, Admiral Ward turned to find Ambassador Baker waiting. A nice thought, he said, nodding toward the screen. Do you think it will last? Eliza thought about the question carefully. The peace? The cooperation? I don't know. But I do know that a year ago, the idea of a Krevlok scientist working alongside a human parent whose child they had taken seemed impossible, yet it's happening right now a few floors below us. Samuel smiled. The universe is full of surprises. Indeed, Eliza agreed. And the greatest surprise of all might be our ability to move beyond our darkest moments toward something better. At that moment on Earth, Susan and George Freeman were reading a letter from their daughter. Lily had decided to stay on Neutral Station Alpha for an extended education program. Her latest message was full of excitement about her new friends, not just humans, but young Zintari, Voss, and yes, even Krevloks.
I'm learning so much, she had written. Yesterday, my Krevloks friend Tixval taught me about their music. It sounds like clicking to us, but once you understand the patterns, it's beautiful. And I taught him about human dancing. He was terrible.
At it with all those legs, but he tried so hard we all laughed together. Susan looked at George with tears in her eyes. After everything she went through, I never thought she'd be friends with a Krevloks. She's braver than we are, George said. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the children will build bridges we adults can't imagine. Back on Neutral Station Alpha, the day shift was ending at the Genetic Diversity Initiative. The lead Krevlok scientist, Rixtor, reviewed the day's findings with his human counterpart, Dr. Olivia Martinez. The preliminary treatment is showing a 78% effectiveness rate in our test cases, he reported, his translator converting his clicks and chirps to English. If this continues, we could begin wider application within 6 months. That's excellent news, Olivia said. And the human DNA donors have all received the agreed compensation? Yes, all education and medical benefits have been provided as specified in the agreement, Rixtor confirmed. My species honors its debts. Olivia nodded. She had been skeptical about this program at first. Her own nephew had been one of the abducted children. But over the past year, working with Rixtor and the other Krevlok scientists, she had come to understand something important: the difference between a species and the actions of some of its members. As she packed up her work for the day, she watched through the lab window as a group of children, human, Krevloks, Zintari, and Voss, passed by on a tour of the facility. They moved together with the easy comfort of friends, pointing things out to each other, occasionally laughing or clicking or making musical sounds depending on their species. Perhaps, she thought, this is the real solution. Not just fixing the Krevlok's genetic problem, but raising a generation that understands each other from the beginning. As her gaze followed the children, she noticed little Lily Freeman at the back of the group deep in conversation with a young Krevloks. The sight would have been unimaginable a year ago. Now it represented hope. Somewhere in the vast universe, other civilizations were watching how this unprecedented cooperation handled the aftermath of crisis. The path forward wouldn't be easy. Trust, once broken, healed slowly. But the alternative, isolation, revenge, possibly war, would only lead to more suffering. New beginnings, indeed.